The massive view screen on the Earth diplomatic vessel horizon displayed a breathtaking view of the Zorlaxian homeworld. Swirling purple clouds covered most of the planet, occasionally revealing glimpses of shimmering cities that had stood for thousands of years before humans had even discovered fire. Commander Alan Grissom stood with his hands clasped behind his back, trying to maintain a neutral expression. After 15 years of space service, he still felt a sense of wonder each time he encountered something new in the vastness of space. But today, that wonder was overshadowed by frustration. "They're refusing our request again," he said to Lieutenant Olivia Wright, who stood beside him reviewing data on her tablet. Olivia brushed a strand of blonde hair from her face and sighed. "3 times now. I'm starting to think the Zorlaxians enjoy making us jump through hoops." "That's because they do," Alan replied. "Earth has only been part of the Confederation for 8 months. They see us as children who need to be taught our place." The Horizon had been the first human vessel assigned to permanent diplomatic duty with the Galactic Confederation, an alliance of 23 spacefaring civilizations that had controlled this sector of the galaxy for over 10,000 years. Humans were the newest and, by many measures, the most primitive members. The ship's intercom chimed. "Commander," came the voice of Chief Engineer Paul Bennett, "you might want to come down to the sensor lab. We've picked up something strange." Alan nodded to Olivia. "Let's go." The sensor lab was filled with holographic displays showing star charts and energy readings. Paul Bennett, a stocky man with a perpetually worried expression, was hunched over the main console. "What am I looking at, Chief?" Alan asked. Paul pointed to a series of wave-like patterns on the main screen. "This came from Monitor Station Delta 9 near the edge of the Andromeda approach. It's picking up unusual radiation patterns, unlike anything in our database." Olivia stepped closer to the display, her training as a xenobiologist and her secondary role as the ship's diplomatic advisor making her uniquely qualified to interpret the data. "These energy signatures are massive and they're moving." "Moving where?" Alan asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "Toward us," Paul said grimly. "Toward all Confederation space. If these readings are accurate, whatever this is will reach the outer colonies in about 7 months." Alan studied the readings. "What kind of effect would this have when it hits?" Paul shook his head. "Hard to say for certain, but based on the wavelength and intensity, it could disrupt most of our technology, possibly all of it. We need to report this to the Confederation Council immediately," Alan decided. Olivia looked concerned. "Commander, the Zorlaxians already think we're overly cautious. They call us the cowardly species behind our backs." "I don't care what they call us," Alan replied. "If there's even a small chance this poses a real threat, the entire Confederation needs to know. The Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council was designed to intimidate. Towering crystal pillars supported a dome that displayed a real-time view of the galaxy. The representatives of 23 species sat in concentric rings with the 7 eldest races, the founding circle, occupying the innermost positions. High Counselor Varax of the Zorlaxians sat at the center, his elongated purple head and 4 glowing eyes regarding the humans with what seemed like amusement. The Zorlaxians had been traveling the stars when humans were still living in caves, a fact they never tired of mentioning. Commander Grissom of Earth, Vrax's translator, converted his clicking speech into English. "You requested this emergency session. Please present your concerns." Alan stepped forward and nodded respectfully. "High Counselor, esteemed representatives of the Confederation, our monitoring stations have detected an approaching energy wave of unknown origin." He gestured, and the sensor data appeared above the council floor. "Based on our analysis, this phenomenon could potentially disrupt technology throughout Confederation space when it arrives in approximately 7 months." A murmur spread through the chamber. Vrax made a gesture that Alan had learned was the Zorlaxian equivalent of dismissive laughter. "Commander, we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm in bringing matters to our attention. However, the Confederation has monitored cosmic phenomena for millennia. Our sensors have indeed detected this energy pattern. It is a natural occurrence that poses no significant threat." Alan frowned. With respect, High Counselor, our scientists believe— Your scientists, interrupted another counselor, a reptilian Drax, have been studying the stars for less than 3 centuries. The Confederation has collective experience spanning 50,000 years. Olivia stepped forward. Council members, we've analyzed the frequency patterns of this wave. They show signs of artificial origin, and the specific harmonics could interfere with the quantum communication technology used throughout Confederation space. This caused another stir, but Vrax raised a long, 6-fingered hand for silence. Lieutenant Wright, is it not true that humans are evolutionarily predisposed to see threats everywhere? Your species evolved as prey animals on a particularly dangerous world. Your brains are wired to perceive patterns and imagine predators lurking in shadows. Several counselors made sounds that the translation software identified as laughter. Our caution has helped us survive, Olivia responded evenly. And it makes you see danger where none exists, Vrax replied. This is why many call humans the cowardly species. You prepare for disasters that never come. Alan felt his face grow hot but maintained his composure. If we're wrong, we've wasted some time and resources. If we're right and do nothing, entire worlds could be at risk. The Council has made its determination, Vrax said firmly. This phenomenon is nothing to concern ourselves with. This session is concluded. Back aboard the Horizon, Alan called his senior staff to the conference room. Paul Bennett was there along with Olivia Wright and 5 other department heads. So that's it? Paul asked after Alan reported what happened. We just ignore a potential catastrophe because some purple-headed aliens think we're scaredy cats? No, Alan said firmly. We act. The Council may have dismissed our warning, but Earth takes threats seriously. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? Asked Dr. Sam Perry, the ship's chief medical officer. I'm contacting Admiral Martinez at Earth. Command. We'll share all our data and recommend immediate preparations. If this wave is as dangerous as we think, Earth and her colonies need to be ready. The Confederation won't like that, Olivia warned. They'll see it as humans going rogue. I'd rather be called a coward than stand by while people are put at risk, Alan replied. Draft a message to the Admiral, include everything we have on the wave, and tell her we need to speak as soon as possible. As the meeting ended, Alan remained alone in the conference room, watching the stars through the viewport. Humanity had worked so hard to be accepted by the galactic community. Now they might have to choose between that acceptance and doing what they believed was right. Either way, he knew which choice he would make. For humans, caution wasn't cowardice. It was survival. Admiral Diane Martinez stood before the Earth Defense Council, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. The large screen behind her displayed the data Commander Grissom had sent from the Horizon. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are facing a serious threat, she said, her voice steady and firm. Our people aboard the Horizon have detected an energy wave that could disable all our technology when it arrives in 7 months. General Frank Peters frowned. The Confederation has dismissed this as a non-threat. Are we sure we want to go against their judgment? We've only just gained membership. With respect, General, Admiral Martinez replied, Commander Grissom and his team have provided compelling evidence. The wave's frequency matches precisely with the resonance patterns of our quantum communication systems. When it hits, we could lose everything: ships, stations, colony support systems. Dr. Kevin Howard, Earth's leading physicist, stood up. He was a tall man with kind eyes and nervous hands that never seemed to stay still. The Admiral is right, he said. My team has analyzed the data. This is no natural phenomenon. The wave has pattern markers that suggest artificial creation. The room fell silent. You're saying someone made this thing? Asked the Defense Secretary. Yes, Dr. Howard confirmed. And it's headed straight for us, whether the Confederation wants to admit it or not. Admiral Martinez looked around the room. I'm proposing we initiate Project Safeguard immediately. We need to develop shielding technology that can protect our ships and colonies from this wave. The resources required would be enormous, said General Peters. The cost of doing nothing could be far greater, Martinez countered. After hours of debate, the Council voted. Project Safeguard was approved by a narrow margin. 1 month later, Dr. Lisa Murphy stared at the simulation results on her lab screen and smiled for the first time in weeks. "Kevin, come look at this," she called to Dr. Howard across the lab. He rushed over, coffee spilling from his mug. "What is it?" "The new alloy configuration worked," she said, pointing to the screen. "When combined with the frequency dampeners, it reduced wave penetration by 87%. Dr. Howard's eyes widened. That's incredible, Lisa. We might actually pull this off." Their lab at Earth's lunar research base had been working non-stop since Project Safeguard began. 50 of Earth's best scientists had been gathered, here with one mission: develop a shield against the approaching wave. "We need to test it at full scale," Lisa said. And soon, the door to the lab slid open and Admiral Martinez walked in with Commander Grissom, who had been recalled to Earth to assist with the project. "Doctors," Martinez greeted them, "please tell me you have good news." Lisa nodded excitedly. "We've had a breakthrough. The composite shield design is working in simulations." "That is good news," Commander Grissom said, "because I'm afraid I bring the opposite. The wave has accelerated. New estimates put arrival in 5 months, not 7. The room went quiet. "How are the diplomatic efforts going?" Dr. Howard asked. Grissom's expression darkened. "Not well. Diplomatic Officer Greg Sanders has been trying to convince other species to prepare, but they're treating him like he's insane. The Confederation media is calling us primitive fearmongers disrupting galactic harmony. We can't wait for them to come around," Admiral Martinez decided. "Dr. Murphy, how quickly can we begin production on these shields? With emergency protocols? 2 weeks to set up manufacturing, then maybe 3 months to shield our major colonies and fleet." Martinez nodded. "Make it happen, Security Chief." Maria Lopez moved silently through the shadows of the lunar base's restricted section. For 3 nights, sensors had detected unusual activity near the shield prototype storage area. Tonight she was determined to catch whoever was responsible. A soft beep from her wrist device alerted her to movement ahead. She pressed herself against the wall and waited. A tall figure in a maintenance uniform approached the security door and began bypassing the lock with a device Maria had never seen before. Maria drew her stun pistol. "Stop right there. Hands where I can see them." The figure turned slowly. In the dim light, Maria could see the distinctive purple skin and elongated features of a Zorlaxian. "Ambassador Krell," she gasped, recognizing the Zorlaxian diplomatic envoy to Earth. Krell's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "Officer Lopez, this is a diplomatic misunderstanding. I am simply touring your facility." "At midnight? In a restricted area? With hacking equipment?" Maria kept her weapon trained on him. "I don't think so. You're under arrest for attempted sabotage." Within hours, the diplomatic channels were in chaos. The Zorlaxian government demanded Krell's immediate release, claiming diplomatic immunity. Earth refused, citing evidence of espionage. On the far side of the lunar base, Chief Engineer Paul Bennett supervised as crews installed the prototype shield generators on the light cruiser Defiant. It was the first ship to be retrofitted with the new technology. "Careful with those power couplings," he shouted to the workers. "They need to be perfectly aligned or the whole system fails." His communication device buzzed. It was Commander Grissom. "Paul, how's it coming?" "On schedule, Commander. The Defiant will be ready for testing tomorrow." "Good," Grissom replied, "because things just got complicated. We captured a Zorlaxian saboteur, Ambassador Krell himself." Paul whistled. "That's going to cause problems." "It already has, but it also confirmed our suspicions. During questioning, Krell let something slip. The Zorlaxians know more about this wave than they've admitted. This isn't the first time it's happened." "What? Why would they hide that?" "We don't know yet, but it means we're definitely on the right track. Keep pushing on those shields, Paul. I have a feeling we're going to need them sooner than we thought." Across Earth's 3 colony star systems, construction crews worked around the clock to build massive shield generators. Resources were strained to the breaking point as materials were diverted from other projects. On the colony world of New Terra, Governor Andy Collins faced an angry crowd outside the administration building. "Why are our homes being torn apart for these so-called shields?" shouted one colonist. "The Confederation says there's no danger." Governor Collins raised his hands for quiet. "I know this is difficult, but Earth Command has evidence this threat is real. If we're wrong, we've wasted time and resources. If we're right, we've saved millions of lives." "What if it's not enough?" someone else called out. "What if the shields don't work?" "Then at least we tried," Collins answered honestly. "Isn't that what humans do? We prepare, we fight, we survive." The crowd grew quiet, contemplating his words. Back at Confederation headquarters, Diplomatic Officer Greg Sanders stood alone at the observation deck, watching ships from dozens of worlds come and go. None of them were preparing. None of them believed. A soft clicking sound made him turn. A tall insect-like alien approached, a Zenti, one of the Confederation's more reclusive species. "Earth human," the Zenti's translator spoke. "I am Science Director Tsek. My people have analyzed your data on the approaching wave." Greg straightened, suddenly alert. "And?" "We believe you are correct. The wave is artificial and dangerous. The Zorlaxians are hiding something." "Will you help us spread the warning?" Greg asked hopefully. "Publicly?" "No. The Zorlaxians are too powerful to challenge directly. But secretly," the Zenti extended a data crystal. "These are our shield designs. They may help improve your own." Greg took the crystal, hope flickering to life. "Thank you." "Do not thank us yet, human. If you are right about this wave, hard times are coming for all of us, and if you are wrong, if we're wrong, we'll be the laughingstock of the galaxy," Greg finished. "Yes," the Zenti agreed. "But my people have a saying, better to be laughed at alive than respected in death." Greg nodded. "On Earth we have a similar saying, better safe than sorry." 6 months had passed since the humans first detected the mysterious energy wave. Commander Alan Grissom stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the emergency reports flood in from across the galaxy. "Another outpost has gone dark, Lieutenant," Olivia Wright reported, her face pale with concern. "That's the 3rd Confederation monitoring station this week." "Location?" Alan asked, though he already knew the answer. "Outer Rim, Sector 27. Exactly along the wave's predicted path." The view screen showed a map of Confederation space, with a glowing red line marking the wave's advance. It was no longer a theory or a distant threat. It was here, on the edge of civilized space, and it was exactly as devastating as they had feared. "Any response from the Confederation Council yet?" Alan asked. Communications Officer Pete Miller shook his head. "Nothing official, sir. Just the same statement about investigating unusual communications disruptions." Alan's jaw tightened. Even now, with the evidence literally shutting down their outposts, the Confederation, led by the stubborn Zorlaxians, refused to acknowledge the true nature of the threat. "Sir," Olivia said quietly, "Dr. Howard is requesting to speak with you. He says it's urgent." In the science lab aboard the Horizon, Dr. Kevin Howard's face filled the main view screen. Though he was back on Earth's lunar base, the worry lines on his forehead seemed to reach across the vast distance between them. "Commander," Howard began without preamble, "we've made a discovery. The wave isn't natural." "We already suspected that," Alan replied. "No, I mean it's definitely artificial. We've been analyzing the detailed scans from the affected outposts before they went dark. There's a pattern embedded in the energy matrix, a signature of sorts." Alan leaned forward. "Are you saying someone made this thing on purpose?" "Yes. And more importantly, they aimed it at us. At all of us. The Confederation, I mean." Howard ran a hand through his thinning hair. "This isn't a random cosmic event, it's a weapon." The implications were staggering. "Have you shared this with Admiral Martinez?" "Yes. She's briefing Earth Command now, but there's something else you should know." Howard's voice dropped lower. "Dr. Murphy has been working with the Zenti data. She found references in their historical archives to a similar event, roughly 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years? Alan repeated. That would be around the time the Confederation was formed. Exactly. And guess who else has records from that time? The Zorlaxians, Alan said slowly, pieces falling into place. You need to find those records, Commander. The Zorlaxians aren't just being stubborn, they're hiding something. Lieutenant Olivia Wright had spent most of her career studying alien cultures. She spoke 7 Confederation languages and had read thousands of historical documents from various species. But now, as she sat in the grand library of the Zorlaxian capital city, she felt like a thief in the night. Her official reason for being here was diplomatic research, perfectly acceptable. Her real purpose was to search for any mention of a similar wave from the Zorlaxians' past. Can I help you, Lieutenant? A Zorlaxian archivist asked, approaching her table. Just researching the early days of the Confederation? Olivia smiled. Particularly any major challenges faced during its founding. A fascinating period, the archivist agreed, though many records from then are restricted to High Council members only. Olivia kept her expression neutral. Oh? Why is that? Old conflicts, best forgotten. The age of establishment had its difficulties. After the archivist moved away, Olivia continued her search through the public records. Hours passed with nothing useful found. She was about to give up when a reference caught her eye. A single line in an ancient treaty document mentioning protection against the great calamity that silenced the outer worlds. Her heart racing, she dug deeper. Most follow-up documents were indeed restricted, but in a scientific journal from that era she found a brief description of symptoms. Communications failure, followed by complete technology collapse. It was enough. The Zorlaxians had faced this before and somehow survived it. But why keep it secret? On Earth's colony on Proxima Centauri, Chief Engineer Paul Bennett supervised the final adjustments to the planetary shield system. It was the most ambitious engineering project humanity had ever attempted. A network of 127 generators creating an energy field that would protect the entire planet from the approaching wave. All stations report ready, his assistant called out. Paul nodded. Then it's time for the test. They had detected a precursor pulse, a smaller version of the main wave, approaching the system. It would reach them in minutes, providing the perfect opportunity to test their defenses before the main wave arrived. Shield activation in 3, 2, 1. Around the planet, the massive generators hummed to life. A shimmering field, barely visible to the naked eye, enveloped the colony world. Precursor wave impact in 10 seconds, someone called. Paul held his breath. The view screen showed the wave washing over the planet, a ripple of distortion in space itself. For a moment, the lights flickered. A few systems reported minor disruptions, then everything stabilized. Shield integrity at 94%, his assistant reported with a smile. It worked. Paul allowed himself a brief moment of relief before reaching for his communicator. Bennett to Earth Command. The shield test was successful. I repeat, the shield works. Across Confederation space, panic was beginning to spread. News of the outpost failures had leaked despite official attempts to downplay them. Civilians were demanding answers. Ships were fleeing from the wave's projected path. On the Confederation capital world, Admiral Diane Martinez met with representatives from the Zenti in a secure room. Your shields work then? Asked Science Director Zek. Yes, Martinez confirmed. The Proxima test was successful. We can protect our people. That is fortunate. Zek's mandibles clicked with what Martinez had learned to recognize as relief. The Zorlaxian Council continues to issue reassurances, but we have intercepted their private communications. They are evacuating their high officials from projected impact zones. Martinez's expression hardened. So they know the truth but won't warn everyone else? They are paralyzed by fear and ancient taboo, Zek explained. In their culture, to speak of the great calamity is to invite its return. They faced this before long ago and it nearly destroyed their civilization. Rather than prepare, they pretend it is not happening. That's insane, Martinez said. Millions will die. Billions, Zek corrected grimly. unless your shields can be deployed more widely. Martinez stood straighter, decision made. Then that's what we'll do. Every human ship with shield technology will deploy to key worlds along the wave's path. We'll save as many as we can, even those who mocked us. The Zorlaxians will see this as humans overstepping their authority in the Confederation. I don't care what they call it, Martinez replied, echoing Commander Grissom's words from months before. If being called cowards is the price for saving, lives will gladly pay it. As human ships deployed across space, the wave continued its relentless approach. On the horizon, Commander Grissom prepared his crew for what would be the greatest test humanity had faced since joining the galactic community. They called us cowards for preparing, he told his assembled officers. Now we'll show them what true courage looks like. Not fearlessness, but action in the face of fear. We're about to prove everyone wrong. The main wave hit without warning. One moment, the Confederation's central communications hub was functioning normally. The next, every system crashed simultaneously. Emergency backups failed. Quantum networks collapsed. Ships lost power and drifted in space. Across 23 civilizations, the carefully constructed technological framework of an interstellar society simply stopped working, except where humans had prepared. The horizon orbited the Zorlaxian homeworld, its shield generators humming with power. On the bridge, Commander Alan Grissom watched as the once mighty planet below fell into darkness, city by city. Shield holding at 82% efficiency, reported Officer Pete Miller from his station. Wave intensity was stronger than predicted, but we're managing. Communications? Alan asked. Lieutenant Olivia Wright shook her head. All Confederation channels are down. I'm only receiving signals from other human vessels and shielded installations. Alan nodded grimly. Put me through to all human ships in the sector. When the channel opened, he spoke clearly and firmly. This is Commander Grissom. The wave has hit Zorlaxian space with full force. Begin rescue operations immediately. Priority is life support for major population centers and evacuation of critical facilities. Remember your training and stay calm. These people need our help now. Across the sector, Earth vessels moved into position above stricken worlds. Teams of engineers and shielded shuttles descended to restore power to life support systems. Medical teams deployed to assist the injured. It was humanity's finest hour, though no one had time to appreciate it. Commander, Olivia called urgently. I'm receiving a distress signal from the High Council chambers. Their emergency systems are failing. Alan didn't hesitate. Tell the shuttle bay to prepare for immediate launch. I'll lead the rescue team myself. The grand halls of the Zorlaxian High Council were eerily silent and dark when Alan and his team arrived. Emergency lights from their equipment cast long shadows across the ornate walls. Life signs ahead, said Security Chief Nancy Brown, checking her scanner. Multiple Zorlaxians, but readings are weak. They found the council members huddled in their central chamber. The mighty leaders of the Confederation's oldest civilization now looked small and vulnerable in the darkness. High Counselor Varax recognized Alan immediately. Commander Grissom, you came for us? Of course we did, Alan replied, as his team began setting up portable life support units. We came to help everyone we could. Even after we dismissed your warnings, called your people cowards, Alan met the alien's four eyes steadily. That's exactly why we came. Because this isn't about who was right or wrong. It's about saving lives. As Medical Officer Sam Perry treated the aliens for shock, Alan approached Ambassador Krell, who sat, apart from the others. You knew, Alan said quietly. You knew this was coming. That's why you tried to steal our shield technology. Krell's purple skin darkened with what Alan had learned was the Zorlaxian equivalent of shame. Yes. Why not just ask for our help? We would have shared willingly. Krell looked away. The great calamity is forbidden knowledge. 10,000 years ago, it destroyed half our worlds. Our ancestors decreed that to speak of it was to invite its return. So instead of preparing, you tried to pretend it wasn't happening. How many have died today because of that decision? You don't understand our ways, human, Krell said, but there was no conviction in his voice. I understand that fear can make anyone, any species, make terrible choices, Alan replied. But it's not too late to make better ones now. At Earth's lunar base, Dr. Lisa Murphy stared at her screens in disbelief. Kevin, come look at this, she called to Dr. Howard. I'm picking up patterns in the wave. It's not just disrupting technology, it's transmitting data. Dr. Howard rushed to her side. What kind of data? I don't know yet. But it's definitely code. Complex and deliberate. Her fingers flew across the controls. If I can isolate the signal from the interference. A series of symbols appeared on the screen, unlike any language either of them had seen before. It's going to take time to decipher this, Lisa said. Time we may not have, Kevin replied. The wave is continuing to spread. Even with our shields, we can't maintain this level of protection indefinitely. Lisa's expression hardened with determination. Then we work faster. This isn't just destruction, Kevin. It's communication. Someone is trying to tell us something. On the joint human-Zenti research vessel Discovery, Lieutenant Olivia Wright had been temporarily assigned to work with the insectoid aliens on deciphering the wave's code. The Zenti had the Confederation's most advanced computing systems, and the humans had the shields to keep those systems running. The pattern repeats every 12.7 minutes, observed Zenti researcher Ziv. Always the same sequence. Olivia nodded. But with slight variations in the subharmonics, like accents in spoken language. They had been working non-stop for 3 days, fueled by stimulants and determination. The Discovery maintained orbit around a dead Confederation world, using its sensors to gather data from the continuing wave effects. Wait, Olivia suddenly sat up straighter. Run that last sequence through the spatial mapping program. Ziv clicked his mandibles in confusion but complied. On the main screen, the code symbols transformed into a 3-dimensional star map. It's coordinates, Olivia breathed. Specific coordinates to here. She pointed to a location on the edge of the galaxy, far from any known civilization. What is there? Ziv asked. I don't know, Olivia admitted, but someone wants us to find out. The Emergency Confederation Council meeting was unlike any in its long history. It was held aboard the human flagship Defender, the only vessel large enough to accommodate representatives from all surviving worlds. The once proud council members now sat in borrowed chairs, humbled by circumstances beyond their control. Admiral Diane Martinez presided, standing beside Acting High Counselor Vrax. The former High Counselor had not survived the wave's impact. The situation remains critical, Martinez reported. Approximately 60% of Confederation worlds have had basic life support restored, thanks to our combined efforts. The remaining 40% are receiving emergency aid, but full recovery will take months, possibly years. And all because we refused to listen, Vrax said, addressing his fellow counselors. The humans warned us and we mocked them as cowards. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering. What the humans called caution, we called fear, continued Vrax. What they called preparation, we called paranoia. We were wrong. Commander Grissom stepped forward. With respect, High Counselor, assigning blame helps no one now. What matters is what we do next. He activated a holographic display showing the coordinates Olivia had discovered. We believe this location is significant. The wave wasn't just a weapon, it was a message pointing here. A trap, perhaps, suggested a Drax representative. Perhaps, Alan agreed. But we won't know unless we investigate. And who would you send into such danger? Asked Vrax. Alan stood straight. The Horizon and her crew. We have the most advanced shields, and we've studied the wave more thoroughly than anyone. Whatever is waiting at those coordinates, we're best equipped to face it. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Vrax spoke. Once we would have debated this for months. Now, he looked around at the representatives of a humbled confederation. All in favor of authorizing this mission? Every hand and appendage in the room raised in unanimous agreement. So decided, Vrax announced, then turned to Alan. Commander Grissom, prepare your ship. Find out what caused this great calamity, and if possible, Ensure it never happens again. As the meeting adjourned, Admiral Martinez approached Alan. You understand the risks? Your shields may not protect you from whatever is waiting out there. Alan nodded. Someone has gone to extraordinary lengths to get our attention, Admiral. I think we owe them the courtesy of answering the call. Just remember, Martinez said with a small smile, being brave doesn't mean you stop being careful. No, ma'am, Alan replied. As we've all learned, sometimes being careful is the bravest thing you can do. The horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the mysterious coordinates. The crew fell silent as the main view screen revealed their destination, a massive space station unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was built in a perfect circle with graceful spires extending inward and outward. The structure appeared ancient yet somehow timeless, its metal surfaces unmarked by debris or damage. No signs of active power, reported Chief Engineer Paul Bennett. But there's something strange about the readings. It's like the station is waiting. Take us in closer, Commander Alan Grissom ordered. Maintain shields at maximum. As the horizon approached, the station suddenly glowed with soft blue light. Systems that had been dormant for perhaps millions of years awakened. We're being scanned, Lieutenant Olivia Wright said. And I think we're receiving a transmission. The view screen flickered and a figure appeared. Humanoid, but clearly not human. Its form was transparent and shifting, more like a living hologram than a solid being. We welcome you, travelers. The figure spoke in perfect English. You have passed the test. Alan stepped forward. I am Commander Alan Grissom of Earth. Who are you? We are what your kind would call the precursors. We were the first intelligent life in this galaxy, evolving billions of years before your species. You sent the wave, Alan stated. The being nodded. A test, sent to all galaxies where intelligent life develops. A test of caution, preparation, and cooperation. Olivia joined Alan. A test that kills billions if failed? That seems cruel. The wave was designed to disable technology, not to kill, the precursor responded. Death came from lack of preparation, from denial of warnings. This is the true test, whether a civilization can overcome its pride and fear to face approaching danger. And we passed this test? Alan asked. Your species did. Despite ridicule, despite isolation, humans saw the threat and acted. Most civilizations fail by either ignoring warnings or fighting among themselves when disaster strikes. The precursor gestured, and images appeared around it. Countless worlds and civilizations that had risen and fallen across the galaxy's long history. Your caution is not cowardice, humans. It is wisdom. While others mocked, you prepared. While others froze in fear, you acted. While others thought only of themselves, you helped even those who scorned you. A panel opened on the station's surface. We offer knowledge as reward, technological understanding beyond anything in your confederation. Use it wisely, for greater tests will come. 3 months later, Commander Grissom stood before the rebuilt Confederation Council. Representatives from all 23 species listened intently. The precursor's technology has helped us restore what was lost, Alan explained. But more importantly, they've given us a warning. The wave was just the first test. Life in this galaxy will face greater challenges. High Counselor Vrax, now fully recovered, spoke. Then we must prepare together. No more will we dismiss caution as cowardice. The Council voted unanimously to create a new leadership structure. Humans and Zenti would join the founding circle, bringing their perspectives to the highest levels of decision-making. Later, on the observation deck of the Confederation headquarters, Alan stood with Olivia, watching ships from across the galaxy come and go. They used to call us the cowardly species, Olivia remarked. And now? Alan asked. Now they call us the wise ones. She smiled. Turns out there's a thin line between cowardice and common sense. Alan nodded. As long as that common sense saves lives, they can call us whatever they want. Across the stars, humanity had proven that preparing for the worst while hoping for the best wasn't a weakness. It was perhaps the greatest strength any species could possess.